codes of self-esteem. It's the codes of who you are.
If you wanna talk about me, you better say the shit to my face. You better say the shit to my face.
Are you ready? I busted my head open. Come back.
There could have been the squid people.
Scared? Don't worry. We'll be there to hold your hand and guide you through this painless transition.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 49th episode of Primos, Chidos. Now you may notice something different for those of you who are watching on YouTube, is we're missing one key member. Julie, where is that missing member?
I don't know, bro. I don't know who you're talking about.
So the title of this episode is What If He Never Existed? And the he we're talking about is Brandon. So Brandon right now is graduating college. Actually, I think he watched the stage. Do we have a picture for that?
Yeah.
We do? Why don't we go ahead and show our viewers this? Like, there he is, all the way on the left. Nice. Thank you. Our live audience is loving this. I want to give a quick shout out to Brandon. I'm proud of you, bro. I'm excited for you to come back next week on our 50th episode. And I'm sending you nothing but love. Julie? Oh my God. The tears are coming out.
You're doing amazing, Brandon.
I know, like,
proud of you, bro.
You know what's so weird? I was watching this stream, right? You see how he's like all the way on the left? That's it. Like, he just walks by. In my graduation, you got like a whole, like, you stand in the middle and you have like your 3 seconds of fame. They made every person just like walk by. It's kind of bullshit, but I'm happy for you, bro. I never knew your middle name was Robert, but from now on you're known as Bobby. So that's what we're gonna call you,
Bobby.
In other news, Julie, what did you do this past weekend? Because I haven't seen you and Brandon because you both happen to be in Las Vegas this past weekend. What were you up to?
I went to EDC this past weekend. If any of y'all go to EDC or have ever been, I was there since Thursday and I got back, I think on Tuesday, right? Yeah, I got back on Tuesday. I'm going through it. My body's going through it. I'm trying to recover. I'm very tired. Don't do drugs, kids.
What type of drugs did you do?
No drugs, bro.
You didn't do any drugs? Okay, in this hypothetical world where you don't do drugs, but if you were to do drugs, what drugs did you do? Hypothetically.
I only did E and weed.
Yeah, and how was that?
Weed?
Yeah,
Weed. It's just like all of your kind of like your senses kind of get like intensified. So like for music, like everything's really loud. So
everything's really loud.
Everything's like a
That's
little
cool.
louder. Like the music, you legit are like embodied into the music. The lights and shit, like you're just mesmerized. Like it was just crazy in general. But I feel like because I haven't been to like a big festival like that in a while. I think I just had a lot of like anxiety for the most part. But it was still fun. Like I had a great time with my friends. Shout out to the homies. They're up in Northern California. They're in San Francisco.
Anxiety in what sense? Like what made you anxious?
Like, you know, it was just like I think there was just like a lot of people that I felt very like it legit felt like when I'm on weed and people are like looking at me because I'm like high or something. It legit felt like that. It felt like I like people knew I was on something and I kept like getting too much in my head for the most part of like how my body was gonna react and stuff. And like I was just getting anxiety of like fuck like someone's gonna like they're gonna be able to tell or like I probably look crazy or something. And I was just like getting anxiety of like that. And I think I was also just getting anxiety because I was like I'm aware of like COVID and stuff. And it just gives me a lot more anxiety of like fuck like I'm out and about. And,
but
like,
did you wear a mask?
No.
Well, then at that point you should have just told yourself who gives a fuck. Like, if you got it, you got it.
Yeah.
At this point. But was it anxiety to the point that it ruined it for you, or was it anxiety?
A little bit, because I feel like my I guess my roles in a way were like kind of ruined. Like I kind of ruined them for myself. And low key, the DJs when I was like on my peak ruined them because they weren't the best. And my friends know this. So we saw David Guetta, and David Guetta's set was like horrible. Like at least in our opinion, right? Or in my opinion, like it wasn't that great. Like I was not having a good time. And I remember I told my friends, I was like, I was so gone that I just couldn't move. That I was just like, fuck, like.
You were just like standing still?
Yeah, I was just there.
What the fuck?
I was swaying to like the music so I could like get myself into it. But I was just like, this wasn't it. Like it was just like, I don't know if a lot of y'all know David Guetta, but he has like a lot of like good hits and stuff. And
so he
wasn't playing like any of his hits. Like he probably played like 2 or 3 of them. And for the most part, it was like a different like genre of music because it was him and a collab with someone else, and we don't know who the other person was. And then I just remember being like just frozen there and being like, fuck, like I'm not having a good time. I was like, this is not it. This isn't fun. But it was just like that anxiety. And then at some points I was like, I need to go to the restroom, and there's a lot of porta potties, so it's like it's a little dirty, so like going to the restroom was even worse like sometimes and all that. And
how does a EDC work? Because I've never even really been to a concert. So like a whole festival, I'm really curious about, because I swear I saw on my Instagram story everybody and their mother was like there.
Yeah.
Like how does that work?
And the crazy part about at least EDC is that it's from dusk till dawn. So it's from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m.
Damn, really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
and were you guys there the entire time from 5 p.m. to 5 a.m.?
For the first day, we got there around 10.
Oh, really?
No, we got there around like 8, I want to say. Yeah, we got there around 8. We got
PM?
there really 8. Yeah, PM. We got there around 8 p.m. and we were there until probably at least like 3 or 4 in the morning.
Damn.
Yeah. And then for Saturday and for Saturday, we got there super late. We got there like around like 9 or 10. And then we left at like 5 in the morning. And then for Sunday, I don't know why, we were crazy. We went at 5 p.m. and we left at like 6 in the morning.
Damn.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So that's what my ass is going through it right now. Like,
so EDC, is it in the middle of just like the desert that's close to Las Vegas?
So it's like kind of like the outskirts of like Las Vegas, because it's in a speedway. So like there's a strip, right, where like everyone like hangs out and stuff, but it's all the way like far in the middle of kind of like nowhere. Which I guess is cool, because then it means like since it goes like for such a long time, like there's not really that much around it except like a military base. But other than that, it's just like it's a speedway. Like it legit is where like there's like car races and stuff, which is crazy because I remember I was like seeing like the signs and I was like, wow, never been at a speedway before, so this is crazy. Like just seeing like the stuff of like how it originally looks like, right? And I just like, damn, like that's crazy.
I mean, talking about the layout of it, like so what, like is it just like a circle of just like different venues like all around?
Yeah, so it's like the whole like speedway, and then there's different stages at each side. So there was like a shit ton of stages. Like usually I'm just used to like there being like 2 or 3. For this one, there's like I think at least more than 5. And like you just walk around, and then usually there's like small DJs, like up and coming DJs, so they put them in like the small sections, and then for the bigger DJs they get like the bigger stages, and they're all like usually different genres like of EDM.
Is everybody there who like goes to EDC? Are they on something? Like are they
usually
like,
for the most part?
Usually.
Yeah.
Would you say is that cheap?
Well,
do you need to enjoy it in order to like do you need to be on something in order to enjoy it?
I don't think so. I think if in general you just like music and like, because I know at least for like EDM stuff, like it's kind of like it just sounds like noise for the most part. At least I know that's what people say, right? It just sounds like it's like people pop music and all that. And I feel like if you like music and just like it bass and all that stuff, it's like. I feel like you would fairly enjoy it. I mean, I sometimes listen just on the regular of like just listening to it, because sometimes it's really good.
I guess what interests me about EDC is more of the culture of like everybody goes there and like is on something and is also like half dressed. Is that did you see that a lot? Did you see a lot of people who were like basically like naked?
Yeah.
And where do you think that comes from, or like how does that feel being there?
Because I feel like at least I haven't really read that much like background on like the EDM community and all that stuff, but I feel like it comes from like
Hippies?
from like what do you call it? Like the LGBTQ.
Oh, okay.
Like because there was a lot of them. There's a lot of people. You can tell that like and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it kind of seemed like it's catered towards them, because I remember we kept seeing them, and then I kept telling my friends, I was like, we're in their world right now. like, and I kept saying that. I was like, we're in their world right now. So it's like it feels like that's kind of like where it kind of comes from is that sort of community. And because I feel like there's a lot of like I don't know, I think that's where it kind of comes from. I feel like I did read an article about it, and it kind of comes from like the whole LGBTQ community, and just like, you know, freedom of expression. I feel like a lot of it is just like freedom of expression. A lot of it is just like, because legit when I first started going to raves, it legit felt like it was just like you can do whatever you want and no one's gonna judge you. And I think that's why like the whole like dressing and and clothing and whatever, it legit is like nobody cares. Like nobody cares what you're wearing. Like it's freedom of like however you want to dress. It's freedom of however you want to look. And the fact that it's like it was in Vegas and it's really hot. So it's kind of like very minimal clothing is fine. Like because it was fucking hot.
Dancing around
and dancing around and just like and I feel like for me that's kind of like where my confidence came from. Of like myself, because like it's like and I don't know, like even for like EDC, like their thing is everyone's welcome here. Like it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, everyone's welcome. Like no one's really there to judge you. And it genuinely feels like that. It genuinely feels like there's no care in the world when you're there.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was gonna ask. Like being there in that setting, seeing people who are like half naked, I really wonder, how does that feel in terms of your like own perspective? Like, do you feel comfortable in that situation? Do you feel weird when you see other people who are like basically almost naked? Like, yeah, how does it feel to be in the midst of that?
It doesn't really bother me. It generally just feels that like everyone's just kind of accepting of like their bodies and how they look like. And everyone's just there to enjoy themselves and like music. Like everyone's just there to listen to the music, to vibe, to just like, and everyone's cool. I feel like it has changed a little bit because of like, it seems like people are trying to see it that it's like a trend, and so kind of like you get kind of like the
influencer,
like the influencer like stuff, or like some people just being rude sometimes. And I remember when I first started, it wasn't like that. Like it was very like everyone was super cool and nice, and for the most part is because everyone's kind of like drugged out, so everyone's just super nice and like everyone's just like chilling, everyone's vibing, everyone's minding their own business because everyone's on something.
Do people camp there?
Yeah, people camp there.
Yeah,
you can camp there.
They sleep in and everything.
I heard it was horrible this year.
Why?
So I started seeing on Twitter that they were saying that like some guy destroyed like the toilet seats for like for the camp. So like you couldn't even go to the restroom because they were like destroyed or some shit.
Why?
I don't know. People were like, what's the point of that? And they were like, I don't know. And then people were just saying that like even like going to the pool, that shit was nasty. They were like, it's a biohazard, like and all that shit. Well, and legit, it was disgusting. Like going to the restroom was nasty. Like there was shit on the seats sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, it was like gross. It was like I genuinely was like, people are fucking nasty. Like I don't get why you guys do this. Like, and it's because like a lot of people are just drunk. People are like gone. Like someone I guess sat down and missed the seat entirely.
How big is the crowd? Like on average?
I think there was at least almost 500,000 people for all 3 days.
Serious?
Yeah, there was at least like 200,000 per day.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's what it said. And some people got arrested too for like having drugs.
Really?
Yeah, it says EDC Las Vegas reports 39 arrests, 19 citations, and nearly 166,000 people per day.
It doesn't sound all inclusive. I mean, what happened to no judgment here? Everybody's like drunk and fucked up, shitting everywhere.
Well, cause it was funny because my friend showed me a video on TikTok, and there is like undercover cops. Like really? they ask you, they're like, hey, are you selling? Like, do you have something? And then or they'll ask you like, are you taking anything? and and in the video, the
Uh-huh.
guy is being arrested,
Uh-huh.
and they're wearing like ears and shit,
like
and
the-
like EDM like clothing and all that
Uh-huh.
stuff, and like they're genuinely undercover, like they look like any one of us, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Is it really that serious?
I
Like,
guess so.
have people died at EDC? Probably, right?
Yeah, I mean, people
Die
a veces se
everywhere?
pasan. Like, I feel like people se pasan. Like, they do too much. They do more than they can handle. Or
Mm,
sometimes, like, for some people, it's their first time ever there.
mm,
Like, just in general, like
Mhm.
going to a rave, it's their 1st
Mhm.
time. Usually, people go to EDC and it's their first time ever doing anything.
mhm,
And I think sometimes they do too more than like they can handle.
mhm.
And because I've heard stories of like friends who like do too much and then they have to go to like the first aid or whatever it's called.
Do you have any crazy stories of being at EDC, whether it happened like this past weekend or anytime you've ever gone? Do you have any crazy stories, or has it always been pretty smooth sailing?
Well, I feel like for us, it's always been pretty much fine because I feel like for us, we genuinely know like what our limits are and what we can and can't take.
Mhm.
Did I see anything crazy this weekend? No, not that I
Nothing?
can remember.
Ever? You've never seen anything crazy at all in EDC? You've never seen like people get into fights, or do fights happen over there?
Yeah, well, it's because some people do like mosh pits and shit.
Oh, and they go too far
Yeah.
too. Se pasan también.
Yeah.
Somebody starts swinging.
Yeah, but I feel like I've never really seen anything that I can't remember. My brain is fried, so I can't think.
No, yeah, you were tired. You've been tired since you came home. I don't
Yeah.
think I've seen you like full of energy. You're sick too, no?
Yeah, I got kind of sick. But I feel like I'm getting better though.
What do you think it was? What do you think made you sick?
I think cause it was also weird weather. Cause at least the first day it was super windy. Like it was windy, and then sometimes because like when you're dancing, you just get like really like hot, and then when we would walk around, it was windy, so it'd get really cold, and like we have like minimal clothing because it's been hot like the whole entire day, and then I think sometimes I would shower and then I would sleep with my hair wet, and then we had like the AC on for the most part, so I feel like it was just like my body was just like hot sometimes, and it was cold sometimes, and then it was like hot again, and I don't know.
Did you take anything to keep you up, like caffeine or drugs, or? Because to me, every time you describe EDC, it just sounds like a lot of energy. Like the fact that you were there, how many days? 3? 4?
I was there since Thursday.
Yeah,
Thursday, Friday,
you
Saturday,
came back
Sunday,
on Tuesday.
Monday. I was gone. I was basically partying for like 5 days straight.
Did you like chug like a Red Bull or like a Monster every time you woke up, or what?
No, I was just drinking water.
Damn, really?
Yeah.
You just fucking like
It was
sobered
just,
through
it
that
was just,
shit?
it was just me, my
Willpower?
own energy. It was just
my own energy. That's how you're drained, because it was all natural.
Well, because what was crazy is that okay, so we got there on Thursday, right?
Uh-huh.
And my ass was fucking tired because like we had the show,
Uh-huh.
like legit, and then we left, and then
Yeah.
we drove for like a good like 5 hours because there
Uh-huh.
was traffic,
Yeah.
and then we got there like probably like 8 or 9.
Mhm.
And we checked in, and then my friends were like, let's go to the strip. And I was like, fuck, I've been driving for like 5 hours, but I was just like, we're here. Like, I've never really partied in Vegas before either. So I was just like, fine, like, I'm down, whatever. And we went, bro, we saw it was like 5 a.m. We saw the blue outside when
really?
Yeah, when we got home. It was like already like 5 in the morning on Thursday and
You're
going
like
into Friday. And then we were supposed to go to sleep
Uh-huh.
so that we could wake up to go to actual EDC.
Uh-huh.
And then we would drive there for the most part because we would park in the area because Uber would have been like fucking expensive.
Yeah, no, it's Las Vegas.
So yeah, so we would drive there basically every day and like park and stuff. And so basically since like Thursday.
Damn, no wonder you're still fucking tired. Goddamn.
Yeah.
Literally since last week's show, basically when we went off air, you literally left.
Yeah.
And only now are you really back.
Yeah.
On this exact show
Yeah.
1 week later.
Yeah, so it was legit like 5 days straight. And even on the last day, because we were supposed to leave Monday, but we were all too fucking tired. And I asked them, I was like, are you guys down to stay another night just for us to like sleep and then like just chill? And everyone was down. Everyone was like, oh, we don't have like work until like Tuesday or Wednesday or something. And then so we asked the hotel to like book us another night.
Uh-huh.
And then our asses still stayed up until 5 a.m. again.
Wow. Doing what? Just like partying?
We went to the strip again, and then we just went like to like different places. We went to the M&M store.
Oh,
There's
really?
like an M&M store. Yeah, we went to the M&M store. We went to like the casinos.
Uh-huh.
And we were just there. We were just chilling. We were
You see,
just
I've
talking and
never
stuff.
been to Las Vegas as like an adult. We went recently last year, but we didn't have enough time to really get around.
We just went to like SummerSlam, and that was it.
Yeah. Is it worth the hype?
If you like to like gamble and shit, I was like, I didn't like gambling, and I don't like losing my money like that. So I was just sitting there, and just like talking to my friends for the most part.
Did you at least try gambling?
I tried it. I would only win like 25 cents for the most part.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now you see, like me, since I was younger, I always liked the vending machines. So like the little cranes and shit. So I know if I was over there, I'd probably be gambling. I probably would have lost like $300, like in just like a few hours. I would have lost.
So that's how I was just like, I was just chilling there for the most part, talking to my friends, like just like catching up with them and all that, and just like chilling with them for the most part. We would drink, so we would get like Fat Tuesdays and shit. And we would just like walk around the
So
strip.
you were fucked up basically 24/7 for like 4 days.
Yeah.
And how does it compare now here? Is it surreal?
I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore.
You're done? You're retiring?
Yeah, I'm officially out. Nobody invite me anywhere. Like, yeah.
You need a rest for at least a week?
Yeah. I need a rest for like the rest of the year, bro.
The rest of the year? Actually, we're not even halfway through. We still have a lot to do.
No, and then my friends still want to go next year, bro. So we just bought our tickets for next year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So it's lit then.
Yeah.
So I'm sleeping on it.
It was just like, I think for us, what took a toll on us is the fact that so I heard like Camp EDC is pretty fun. Like it's pretty lit, bro. If you're in Camp EDC, you don't sleep until like 10 a.m. Like them fools like party like the whole entire day. But we're thinking of like maybe doing Camp EDC or like even getting an RV.
Oh, really?
So we're probably gonna do that. Yeah. So it sounds super cool, and you're there, like you're just right next door basically.
Uh-huh.
And for us, like we would have to drive, and I think that's what like got us is that we had to like sober up at the end. Like we had to like quickly like sober up so we could go back to the hotel and sleep. And like for this, it's like it's there. And I feel like that would be really cool, and it would help us out a lot. Because it's already like us spending on like gas and everything and like the hotel.
Just like you describing it reminds me of like what I imagine people in the 60s and 70s, like the hippies when they would go to like Woodstock or whatever. Like this is what the modern day equivalent of it reminds me.
Patty said that people pop music go crazy.
I don't know. It's weird. I've sometimes you play it and every now and then it does hit, but I feel like I've never been drawn to it. I feel like I need to do E, and then once I do E, my senses will be awoken, and I'll see what you see.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, you know what? This beep boop bop music does go good.
It hits, bro. I'm telling you, it hits. And especially if you go and see like
your artist,
like the artist that you really like. It's pretty crazy.
I was thinking about your like evolution, because you and me have we? Would you say we've always been close? Like since you were born? Well, I mean, you were born first, so since I was born, would you say we've always been close?
I feel like we have. I think it's just like for a good while. I think our gap, we legit were like, oh, like you're still very young and I'm a little older, but I think we've gotten to a point where like, no, we're like in the same kind of age range now that we've gotten closer. Because I feel like we were. I feel like we were always close, because I feel like I always think about when like even mom treated us like we were the same
twins,
like like we were twins and stuff. So I feel like we were always close. It was just like our communication was different because we would always be separate with our own groups and stuff, and then eventually we kind of like came together.
I feel like, you know, where we became closer during the pandemic even more. We were already close, but the pandemic was where we basically hung out all the time. And then I was just like, I'm gonna invite like the homies over. Do you want to hang out with us? Like, because there's no one else, so fucking might as well.
I remember someone was like, "You and your brother are always together," or I forgot what they said, and I was like, "It's because I remember you said it. You were like, you were gone for 4 years, and then after that, the pandemic hit, so we were kind of like." We got each other now.
We also had a lot to catch up on. A lot happened between those 4 years that you were gone. Like we definitely had our own adventures, and that's what I mean by like it's so interesting to see the evolution. Because I remember before you left, you were a different person. Like we were still close, but you were like a completely different person. Like I don't think we'd get personal and talk about like stuff in our life.
Yeah.
But when you came back, I still remember we were at Applebee's. And you told me for the first time that you had smoked weed. Well, you didn't tell me that was the first time you had smoked it. You just had told me for the first time that you were a smoker.
Mhm.
And to me, I was like, bro, I've been doing this since like high school. And it was the first time I told you. I always remember that moment because it was when I knew you had changed. Because you didn't do anything like in high
Yeah,
school.
I didn't do anything.
Like-
I didn't even drink either.
Yeah.
I didn't drink. I didn't smoke. I didn't do anything until I left for. I legit didn't do anything until I left for college, and then after that, until I turned 21.
I mean, had you already gone to EDC by then? By the time like your sophomore year of college, had you already gone to EDC?
No, this is my first time going to EDC, but like going to
Oh,
a
you had
rave.
raves, right?
Yeah, going to like a show or like a rave. I didn't go until like 2019.
Would you say rave culture is bigger in North California than it is here?
Maybe.
Why do you say maybe?
Because I'm trying to think about it, right? Like I'm trying to think of like, because even here, I know here there's a lot of like performances in like downtown LA. But over there I would always just go like to the Bill Graham in San Francisco.
Mhm.
I feel like maybe yes, but I'm not too sure on that. Like if it's more of a NorCal thing.
No, the only reason I ask is because I have a friend who's he's moving to North Cal for like school, and I'm really wondering if he'll have the same evolution of you, where he gets on into EDC and like does a bunch of Molly.
I feel like the reason.
Wait, we'll be right back after a word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you sent us to in our bio. So if you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you sent us to in our bio. So if you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you sent us to in our bio. So if you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you sent us to in our bio. So if you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Word from these sponsors. Stay tuned. We're gonna read your questions that you. If you're interested in that, come back. Welcome back, everyone. So we're gonna go ahead and read the questions that you guys sent us in our bios. Julie, are you ready? Are you think they're gonna be deep or dumb?
I think some of them might be deep. I don't know.
Okay, go ahead.
One of them is from Annabelle, 030195. Says, "What is your pet peeve about each other?"
Pet peeve? I don't like. Okay, do you want to go first or should I?
You go first.
Can I go in on you? Can I say? Can I expose you a bunch? Nah. Okay. I don't like your bad memory. You're really bad at remembering most stuff. Do you remember one time? I think maybe during the pandemic, we got locked out of the house because I told you, Julie, remind me not to like close the door. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
I told you like remind me not to close the door.
It's locked.
Yeah, because it's locked and we don't have the key and like there's no way we can get out. And I told you like at least twice. And then we left and we were like chilling outside for like an hour and 15 and we go back, boom, the door is locked. And we waited out there. We had to wait for mom and dad to get home.
No, we went through the window, no?
Did we?
Yeah, we went through the window.
Yeah,
and my ass was fucking laughing.
did.
Because also we were high.
Yeah.
So my ass was fucking dying.
And this is back in our old place. So this is when like to get into our house, we had to go through my bedroom window. And my bedroom window was basically like 2 stories off the ground.
Yeah.
So we had to get a ladder. So I had to get a ladder and climb on top. And then like it's so tall that I had to stand on top of the ladder. So there's like I only have support of the window. And I was already kind of scared. And my sister's just laughing her ass off like at me. Like, oh my God, like you're so stupid for like locking yourself out as if I didn't tell you. So there's one. Well, okay, Julie, go ahead.
I feel like mine, that your ass always has to be right, bro. You always have to argue with me.
Because you're always wrong.
You always have to argue with me, no matter what. And mom also brings this up. That's why she was like, you should be a lawyer.
Yeah, my mom always said I should be a lawyer. Because everybody's always wrong and I'm always right. No, I'm just fucking around.
This fool is always like, I'm right. And he always has to have the last word.
It's true. It is true. That is me.
I'm fucking dead. All right. TG and Lana next said, what's their favorite food?
What's my favorite food?
What? I was like, you have to guess what my favorite food is.
Oh, I had to guess what your favorite food is? I feel like that's so hard.
You like...
Wait.
You like Popeyes.
Okay, can we say 3 things? Can we say 3 things?
Yeah.
Wait, first think of your answer. Think of your own answer.
Okay.
Like, what are your own favorite foods? Now and just to give it away, I'm not gonna say Popeyes now because you said that. Okay. Yeah. And then yeah, okay, I got it. You got yours?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say this is an OG. This is a throwback. But I remember when we were kids, you used to really like pipián. That was like your favorite. Would you consider that?
Yeah.
Dub? Okay. I'm gonna make 2 more guesses. You really like Chipotle?
No.
No? Okay. Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A?
Yeah.
Yeah, Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I say one more?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I'm forgetting like a big one. I know
Yeah,
you
I
like
know,
Burger
like-
King. You like Burger King.
I used to like Burger King.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You used to really
There's
like Burger
one,
King.
Stevie. There's one, and I feel like you have to say it.
There's Wingstop. You always get McDonald's. No?
Oh, there you go. You said it. Wingstop.
It's Wingstop?
Yeah, bro. I love wings. That's the only reason I can't go like vegetarian.
Bro, but they're fucking expensive now. They're like $18 for like 3 wings.
Yeah.
Nah,
They
okay,
got
go
it
ahead.
very
Go ahead.
expensive. I was gonna say Korean barbecue.
That's not bad. I'll give you that one.
Let's see. Well, you said I can't say fucking Popeyes anymore.
Yeah, but you can say
Mole. You like mole?
Yeah, I do like mole.
You
yeah,
like mole?
Yeah. Okay, go one more.
Let's
Go one more.
see.
I feel like this is the obvious one that I haven't ate in a while, but I used to fuck that shit up in the kitchen.
Oh, I was gonna say Wild Girl.
Oh yeah, you know what? Sure, I'll give you that one. Yeah, I was gonna say
Wild
steak, but that's the same thing.
Oh, yeah,
It's
steak,
like
yeah.
the same thing. Okay, what's the next question?
So TJ Next said, "Who is the funniest?" Me, of course.
Bro, you're not funny. Come on, bro. Come on. Your humor is based off me and our older brother's humor.
I guess.
Come on. Okay, make me laugh right now.
No,
Make me laugh right now.
no.
Say a joke.
No.
Let's see if it's funny. The audience will literally
No.
laugh too.
No.
Say a joke.
No, you say
Alright.
one.
Okay. Judy, why are you wearing red?
Bruh, that's roasty. Why you gonna roast me?
That was the setup. I didn't even see the punchline. You know what? Never mind. Go ahead. Read the next question.
All right. Who? TJ Latinx said, "Who is the first to apologize?"
I feel like that's me. I'm always the bigger person. It's true. I'm just being
I
honest.
guess if you say so.
When's the last time you ever said sorry to me?
I said it last time when you were talking about your trauma, and I was like, "I'm sorry."
That's different. What? That was like something.
I said, "I'm sorry, I caused you trauma, bro."
It was. Do I actually talk about this on the show?
I don't even remember what we talked about, bro.
It was just saying that when since I was the youngest sibling, you and our
Oh,
older
yeah,
brother
yeah,
were just very, very mean to me when I was a kid, and it was almost too much at points. And then you said you were sorry, but I feel like that doesn't count because that's like if I hadn't brought it up, you wouldn't have said sorry.
All right.
How many questions do we have left?
I think we have a couple more.
Okay, go ahead.
Zoe F 2219 said, "Have you guys ever stopped talking to each other for some reason?"
You went to college. Did we ever fight? Did we ever have like a big fight where we didn't talk?
We stopped talking to each other? I feel like no.
Yeah.
I don't think we've ever
No,
gotten
yeah.
to like that point before.
No, I don't think I've ever gotten to that point either. Like with anybody, really.
Yeah.
With like I guess like ex-girlfriends, but that's like natural because like you don't really talk to your exes, right?
Yeah.
But like not with family.
I don't think we ever fought where we stopped talking to each other.
I think the only time we ever fight is like arguments, and even then it's like fucking like 15 minutes later we're like, bro, you want to go get like Jack in the Box or something? You're like, bro, you want to drive to the View? Like I feel like it's because like you and me, it's like I feel like you and
have we ever fought though? Like have we ever?
Not really,
huh?
No. I feel like because you and me are the type to be like, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Like it's really not that big a deal.
Because I'm trying to remember at least like the arguments that we've had.
I'm telling you, we always argue over the dumbest shit. Like the only times we ever argued, it's literally like, how can you say that George Lopez episode wasn't as good as the finale? Like it's like over the dumbest shit. And I think it's like we get annoyed with each other, but I don't think we've ever gotten to the point where like I'm like, don't fucking talk to me anymore. I'm like, don't ever say my name in your conversation. From this point on, we are no longer brother and sister. I don't think we've ever gotten to that point.
I don't
Thank
think so.
God. Well, I think it's because mom, like, she really did instill in us that like it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
It's really not that serious. Because I've just never been that way with family in general. Like
Yeah.
I've never been like, fuck you, mom. You don't understand me. Like it's more like you said, like, yeah, I get like annoyed with my mom, or she gets annoyed with me, but it's never that serious.
Yeah. I feel like even when I went away for college, I think we would still send each other memes or something.
Yeah, we send each other memes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even now when you were in EDC, I send you like memes every now and then, or tweets.
Yeah.
Like, that's our way of communicating. When you move out, that's probably how we're gonna communicate. I'll see you every now and then, and I'll be like, "LMAO, look at this." Okay. Go
All right.
ahead.
I think
Next question.
there's let me see, one more question, I think. Yeah, one more question. And I think this might be a deep one. From Zoef 2219 said, "What's a big challenge both of you have had to face as brother and sister?" What's
Damn.
a big challenge both of you have had
You
to
go first.
face
I've been answering these
as
first.
brother and sister? A big challenge as brother and sister? I'm trying to
you
think.
know what? Actually, I
You
thought
go-
of something.
Go ahead.
And I was thinking about this in general recently. I feel like because most of our friends are first generation, you kind of forget that like being first generation is actually not like a common thing. And I feel like being first generation, you come from like a lot of trauma that like is just very normalized. And you don't really see it as like that sort of thing, but it affects you. And I think us being like a first generation family, we carry a lot of like tragedy and like dark weight to us. What I mean by that is that like I think when your parents grew up dirt poor, and then to see them gain like financial stability, but like only in recent memory, it causes a lot of strife. Like I know my older brother, like our older brother, lived a very different life than we did.
Yeah.
And I know it probably sometimes like he sees how we grew up like as teenagers and like as adults, and he sees that like we have things that he didn't have, and I'm sure like it doesn't really bother him in the sense of like he's jealous, but it bothers him in the sense of like he wishes probably he was as lucky as we were, and I feel like some, at least for me, sometimes I feel guilty because I feel like not all the time do I like show my gratitude and like gratefulness, and sometimes I feel like when I'm going through a rough spot, I always think about it as like, yeah, but somebody is probably going through something way worse, and I don't ever let myself kind of wallow in my sorrows. And I wonder if that's just because of like that's just how hard it is to come from a first generation family where like our parents had to work for everything. You know, we off the show we talk about how like our parents when we were younger, they worked all the time. They worked like 9 hours every single day, and basically my dad was like Valentin, our older brother, like he was my dad. And since you and me were closer in age, you were always like my sister, but Valentin was more like my dad. And that's like hard on him because he's just a kid. Like he really shouldn't have had to parent anyone around. But then we grew up and went through his same age and didn't have that responsibility that he had to have had. And I feel like it's like sometimes I don't know how to hold that way. Like I don't know how to feel about that. What about you?
I feel like for me, I think the biggest challenge is that other part of like we grew up in a Latino household where I think like there's like gender roles of like how we were even like treated differently, like how you were treated as because you're a dude and me because I'm a girl, right? And I think for me, I also because I'm the middle child too, so I kind of grew up on like the whole difference of like how Valentin was treated and then how I was treated because I was getting kind of the same treatment as like how he did. Like if he went through this stuff at this certain age, like I was gonna go through the same thing. And then for you, it was different because then you were like the youngest. So like, and I think for me, it was a lot of like, it felt like there was a lot of like, because our older brother did grow up differently, that there was like that kind of like that resentment of like us growing up differently. And then for me, the challenge was that I didn't want to hold that same resentment against you of like, because you're getting treated differently than how I was treated because I'm a woman and I'm also like the oldest from you because you're the youngest, right? And usually like it was differently from that, but it's like you've also had your own experience and me like not holding that resentment towards you of like because you were treated differently or you were treated a lot like I guess easier at least to me in my eyes it seemed like you were just a lot easier, and then for me it was a lot harder because I was a woman or and all that stuff. And I feel like for me it was like I got that a lot from like our older sibling, and I feel like for me I didn't want to do the same thing to you, and that's why like that's why when you were always like all your traumas of like all that stuff, I was like fuck, I was like I know, because it was like for me it was just like I just had a lot of like I feel like I was getting just like from being like a woman and how I should be acting right in a Latino household of like you should be doing this, like you should be cleaning and cooking and doing all these things, and then you guys are just, for me in my eyes, you guys were just there, like you guys can do whatever you want, just chill, like you didn't have to take responsibilities of like all those other things. And for me it was more of like not holding that resentment towards, at least to you, because I know because we're like a lot closer in age, and I feel like that's what was happening with me and like our older brother is that he would hold that of like I was still treated a little different because I was also a girl, and all that stuff. And I think that was like the biggest challenge, I guess, for like me and like us, was that we were all treated differently, and me not holding that against you guys, or at least you, of like how you had it and how I kind of had it.
No, yeah, I always think about how I think every like person has kind of generational gaps between them and their parents, but what was really unique about us and that a lot of first generation share is that our parents grew up not only in a different time but a completely different place in a completely different country, that like growing up like we had a lot of the things that we faced as like teenagers in America were completely new to us,
Mhm.
and like we couldn't go to our parents and ask them
Yeah.
because they were never in our situation.
Yeah.
And that's completely different than people who have had parents who grew up here, because
Yeah.
at least there's some feeling of familiarity, of resemblance. But for us, it was always like you kind of were on your own.
Yeah.
Like even for our older brother, like I always feel for him because he was completely by himself for 6 years,
Mhm.
and then you were born, and even then you don't really start to like develop personality till you're like 4 years old. For
Mhm.
like 10 years of his life,
Yeah.
he was basically by himself, and like those are developmental stages, and he had to grow up and be very different and like survive on his own.
Yeah.
With me, when I went to college, I had you to look after, I had my older brother to look after. When even right now, when I think of like life decisions to make, I look at you and I look at my older brother and I see what to do and what not to do. But you guys didn't have that.
Yeah.
And like
And yeah, I always think about, especially like when I was applying for college, and I think for me, I think that's what affected me the most is that I never thought about college. All I thought about is that like I want to get a degree and just finish it for my family, but I
Mhm.
never fully established like a career because I never, and like I feel like also I guess for us, like we also kind of had the freedom to choose whatever we wanted. Like our parents didn't really push us to like anything. They were just like encouraging us to go to school and kind of finish school. And I remember always being stressed out about FAFSA. And like I couldn't even ask our older brother because like
it's
who
been,
did
like,
it a while.
yeah.
Like he did it a while ago. And I would ask him and be like, bro, I don't remember. Like
Uh-huh.
for me, that was a while ago.
Mhm.
And so for me, it was always like when I had questions on like FAFSA, like my and Bobby were like, I don't know. I don't
Mhm.
know what to put. And,
Mhm.
and then I would have to translate everything. And I remember just always being so stressed out. And I remember when like you would ask me like, oh, what's the pin? Or well, like, what's this? And I would just give it to you. I'm like, bro,
Mhm.
it's here. Like, there you go. Like, I was like, for me, it was like so much harder and so much
Yeah.
stressful because like no one knew any answer to anything.
Uh-huh.
Like Valentin didn't know it. My Bobby didn't know it. And
Yeah.
I was kind of like, fuck, like I don't even know it. Like,
I think that's what like I didn't really realize until recently, and probably like a really recently. I don't know, maybe the beginning of the year or late in the year, because a lot has happened to our family like just this year alone.
yeah.
And I think for a long time, like from when I was a kid all the way to like high school, I always kind of wanted to like ignore like a lot of the trauma that our family held. Like our even beyond us, like our parents grew up really like rough lives, especially our mom. You know,
Yeah.
our mom had a really rough life. And I think because I was the youngest, and so our parents had already developed and had kids and had also financial stability that maybe they didn't have when our brother was born. I got shown a lot more love, a lot more emotional intelligence, and a lot more like resources than my older brother was. And I felt like I grew up and was like, my family is great, and my mom and my dad are amazing, and like I couldn't ask for a better family. But I think that was really ignorant of me to say, and it's not and I'm not saying that as like, no, because yeah, my family's actually like terrible and it's
Yeah.
no, like you obviously I still love you, and I love our family. But I think it isn't until recently that I had to grow up and realize that like I'm to always say that like I grew up in love, and I did, is also kind of like ignorant in the sense of saying that like it was always that way when it wasn't always that way. Like our dad had anger issues, and like it's weird. They say it's like genetic, but like I mean, like do you remember when you were younger? You also were very.
I was
like,
always angry.
Yeah, you were
Yeah.
always very angry.
I was always angry.
And
yeah.
like I was talking about it a few months ago with some friends at a park, and when you're that age and you're younger, you think of like moments like that where like you would always be angry, or like there'd be like strife between you or older brother, or there'd be like fights in the family, and you when you're younger you think like, oh, like that sucks, but whatever, like it is what it is, right? Like fuck it, we ball.
Yeah.
But then you get older and you realize, fuck man, like that shit still hurts. Like that shit's still there.
Yeah.
That shit still affects you. And I guess when I was younger, I just didn't think that like I'd grow up to eventually realize that like no, like there's a lot of trauma in our family. There really is. And like if for me to ignore that and just be like, no, we're all good. We've always been all good. is so like disingenuous to me, and it's so like not how you feel and heal things. Because I feel like now that I'm older, I should try to heal like a lot of things that like affected me when I was younger, that I was just like, no, it was whatever. It's like it is what it is, you know. And like that's just not a human thing.
Yeah.
Like I'm just not perfect. Like I'll obviously always feel a certain way about certain things that happen, you know. And I know I'm being vague, but it's because I don't want to like air out all our fucking family shit on the show. But like, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, and then I feel like that's why I think for me, I went away to college because I feel like I was just going through a lot in general with like our family that I kind of was just like, I need to leave. And I think it was kind of like it helped. I feel like at least for me, it helped me a lot, at least to start like being more communicating of like what hurts me and all that stuff, and like what it is that I was going through. So I don't know, and I feel like it's interesting because I think for us, like after that, after me leaving and then all that stuff, like we just grew closer, and like we kind of have been talking about like our past shit and the shit that kind of like happened between us.
You know which Kendrick Lamar's new album, there's this song Mother I Sober. And I always think about it because he kind of talks about how a lot of like trauma that comes from Black families comes from like history, from even like ancestors from slavery, and then like just generations of just trauma being passed down to the next generation. And it's the family it's the generational curses, right? And I thought about that in terms of like, I keep bringing this point up that like it's traumatic to be part of a first generation family. You could try and tough it out and be like, it's whatever. It's like how I was. It's like, it's whatever, dude. Like I started a good life, and that's good. It's always good to be grateful for what you have. But I think it's also disingenuous, and it's something, it really builds up like black tar in you if you really try to ignore some of the things you went through, because it's not normal. It's not what most families go through. Like the fact that we have family who like was literally murdered like because of just like that's like the social standards of like other places. And we had to grow up with that, and like it only made our family have a more optimistic mindset of like things will always get through. That's like a lesson that I'm like grateful that we have. But like it's also inhuman of me to be like, we're just over it. It is what it is. Because I fear every day. Like I feel like that's one thing that like is like instills me, is that I always have like fear of like family shit happening. And like it's like I like look at her like nephew, and I'm like, I just always hope he's safe. I always worry about him, and I just always hope he's like good, because especially like you know how that shit is.
No, yeah. Well, yeah, because I mean we've seen what's like happened in the world before, and like I guess things that our family has gone through, at least this year, right? But I feel like just in general our family has gotten into a somewhat better place though. But
no, it's all good. I'm sorry, I started it.
Yeah.
It's because everybody fucking knows about like what happened like a few days ago of the elementary school shooting. And I didn't think that event would hit me as hard. But it's so different now having like a nephew that's in like school. Fuck. Because I really love that kid. And I feel like sometimes when I'm like sad, he's just filled with so much love that he shows me. And I feel so bad for those families. I'm really trying to I'm trying to relax for a second.
Very good though.
No, yeah. I just love that kid, dude. I love our nephew. He's like he reminds me so much of like the good things in our family. And like I keep thinking of that Kendrick Lamar album of like we give it our all only for the next generation to be better. And I think that's beautiful, because he's like he's gonna grow up, and I know he's gonna one day like have full-blown conversations with me to this level, to where it gets to this like emotional level.
Yeah.
And I'm just so excited to tell him, like, dude, like, you grew up in like such a different way than I did. Like, the fact that he's like he doesn't speak Spanish is so funny to me, because I was always clowned down for like not knowing how to speak Spanish that well.
No sabo.
Yeah, that for being that no sabo kid. But it's so crazy because my mom doesn't even speak English, so it's not like I don't understand Spanish. It's just the older you get, especially being integrated into America, the more you forget that language. And our nephew for sure is not gonna know Spanish. Like, he knows some words, but I feel like he's not gonna know it. And I feel like I'm gonna want to be that translator for him for when he talks with his grandma, my mom, because my mom, she's been in the United States for like 20 years, and she still doesn't know English that well. So I doubt it's gonna suddenly come to her when she's older. And
I feel like maybe our nephew is what is gonna teach her English.
Oh, you think so?
Know. I feel like, well, because I feel like mom has also been trying, at least, because she's like, sometimes she tries to read at least in English, and especially because like she's always working with puppy, so I feel like she's been trying to learn. It's just like for her it's a little hard.
No, yeah, I like when especially because I see her when I go to work. I see that she's really like, she's trying to like learn words. Sometimes she asks me like how to say certain things. Or one thing that sucks, honestly, I wish this episode would go a little longer, because now I'm gonna get into the language barrier that I sometimes feel with our parents, because I feel like I suck at Spanish, man. I feel like I suck at speaking Spanish, and like sometimes it makes me so insecure because I want to talk more with like my dad and my mom, but I get so insecure about like my ability to speak Spanish. Okay, so we're out of time. For those of you on the app, you guys won't see us till next week. For those of you on YouTube, stay tuned. We'll still talk like a little bit more. But thank everybody who tuned in on the app. Okay, well, everybody on the app got cut off from the rest of what I was going to say. But one of the things that I wanted to say too is like, there's another thing that I talk about with being part of a first generation family is so traumatic. Because like, if you're in the United States, if you don't speak English with like basically a perfect accent, you will have a harder time being in the United States. That's just a fact. Like, it's gonna be so much harder. Like, especially you saw it yourself. You won't lie and say like when you were in middle school, high school, there was the people who had a very thick like Spanish accent with their English, and they were the ones who struggled more in school and struggled more socially. So like, it's basically sink or swim when you to learn English. So but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, because then you learn English so well that it becomes your first language, and you have trouble speaking Spanish, which is your parents then like from the native countries, like native tongue. And for me now, being a 23-year-old man, sometimes I'm so annoyed that I can't like have more complex conversation with my parents. Like I feel like it does get complex, but eventually I need to like speak English. And then my mom's like, what does that mean? And I'm like, fuck, like, how do I translate this? And I have to ask my dad. And it sucks because, like I said it in a few episodes ago, like that was one of the things that I regretted about when our grandma passed away earlier this year, was that like I wish I had the confidence to speak to her in Spanish, because I'm so curious about like our family's history. I was, 2 days ago, I was just talking about to our dad about his childhood. I was just asking him like what was that like? Like what was it like? Was the world different? Like how did the world feel? And my dad said, well, I didn't have TV or anything, so I didn't know. But he said that they grew up in, did you know this? He grew up in like Durango.
Durango?
Durango, yeah.
Durango.
Durango. You see what I mean? I say it with like the Güero accent.
Yeah, he grew up in Durango,
And Durango, and like he talks about how he would play sports all the time.
Right, and he's mad paisa, bro. He's always with his hats and shit.
I know, right?
Because he grew up in Durango.
And he's like, they had basketball courts and volleyball courts and like soccer courts for like miles, like a bunch of them. There was this river that would flow through the town, and I would wake up and swim through it, and it sounded like awesome. And then like, I already know my mom had a tragic past, but I was just like trying to get like a silver lining. I just asked her like, what about you? Like, was there anything you liked? And I shouldn't have done that. She literally started crying like immediately, like almost immediately. And like, and she's like, I don't want to remember when I was a kid. And those one of the things that I say, like just being part of first generational family is just so traumatic. I just asked like a simple question, and I knew already that I shouldn't have asked, but I thought like, oh, maybe it'll be okay. Instead, I just ended up feeling like an asshole. I just ended up feeling like a fucking douchebag because I should have just known better. Like,
yeah. And I feel like for me, I kind of grew up because I was always with mom and papi. So like those stories, I always knew them. Like I always knew of like mom's trauma and stuff. So I remember that was traumatic for me, like just listening to her traumas, because that's why I always hated when they would drink.
Because it always comes out.
Because it would always like mom would always talk about her childhood, and I remember I was always like at least like 10 when I would hear like all the shit. So like you hearing these things like barely like now. I heard those things since I was like 10. Yeah. So like I kind of like. I feel like I carried their trauma. Like I at least for mom, because I mean, mom is the one who kind of went through a lot. So I feel like I kind of carried those traumas, and I think that's where I kind of got like my anger issues from, because I was just angry with the world of like the world is horrible. To me, in my eyes, the world was horrible, and I think that's why I always kind of just grew up that way. But eventually, I mean, I feel like I've healed. I feel like I've gotten better. Even though sometimes I'm still like, I hate when mom gets drunk and she like starts talking about it, because then it's like it takes me back to like those like moments of like when she would talk about it.
No, I mean I agree with you, Julie, because I mean, like I said, like this just happened like a few days ago, and like I felt like fucking terrible, because I mean I knew, like I told you, I knew I should have known better. I shouldn't have just asked. I just thought like, I don't know, I guess I thought maybe there'd be a silver lining, but it's just too much. There's too much pain there. And like and because I knew for a long time, like that is like, I agree, that's one of the things that does pain me too, is I always think like that. That's why when I heard that Kendrick Lamar album, Mother I Sober, it hits me so fucking hard, because like I think about our own mom, and that she did go through a lot of traumatic things, and like they did their best to not try to push that on us, but it still affects us. And like and then I think of the next generation. I think of our nephew, and all I can hope is that like I just want to give him love, because like I know like I'm so educated now. I'm so educated in what we've been through, when before I was just ignorant. I was just like, no, everything's fine, my family's good, like we have our problems, but we're all good. And like it's nice to look at things in an optimistic point of view, but the way I was doing it was just plain arrogance, and like it was just bad on our family, and it wasn't gonna help me or our family grow and prevent passing down those traumas to even more generations.
Well, because I know mom also talked about how she kind of didn't want to treat us the way she was treated when she was younger, like with her family and stuff, which she kind of like did. She like changed, right? But I think because she still had those traumas, they still kind of like were on us in a way.
It was subconsciously still passed down.
It was still like happening. And I feel like I'm not mad at her about it. Like it's just like
that's human.
She had a shit ton of things that like happened to her that like I get is very traumatic, and like I feel like I don't blame her for any of it, or like I don't hold anything against her for it. I think as I got older, I started understanding that like she is the way she is because of things that happened. And I think when I was younger, I didn't get it. Like I think that's why for me it was always like I was just always like mad and stuff, because I didn't understand it. Like I just didn't get it. Like I was just like, why is she this way? Like why is she doing this? Like I don't get it. And she would say like, oh, I'm not trying to be like how my family used to be, but it felt like sometimes she still was. And to me it just didn't make sense, but it was kind of like it's just her trauma that was just like it was kind of falling on us, even though she didn't want to. It was still kind of there. And that's why for me I've always also been very optimistic of like how the rest of our generation would be, because I know for us like we're also conscious of it, and like of things that we don't want to pass on to our kids, right? But I guess that's the other part of like we might still do it in a way, and I think that's what scares me the most too, is that we still might pass our traumas down. And I think that's why like for me it's interesting, because I'm just like I want to be optimistic that we'll be different and stuff, but I also feel like I have that fear of like we'll still pass down our traumas.
Yeah, because late last year, I was like in this weird funk that I feel like has still, even to right now, to today,
Mhm.
I've still been in this weird funk. I mean, I've kind of talked to you about it. I've just been feeling very weird for like a year now, and not in like a depressive way, but I felt as though something was like wrong, as though like something was wrong with me, and I could feel something was wrong with me, and I got better when I acknowledged that like I'm not a perfect person, and my family isn't perfect either, and I always used to say that to myself to try and convince myself, but I feel like it was only because I didn't want to open the can of worms, you know. I didn't want to open like all these things that like affected me when I was younger, but now that I have, I think the only reason I'm in the funk is because now I'm aware, and I need to understand that I can't pass this down. I feel like I was kind of like sometimes projecting and passing down my feelings and like socially and people I knew and like and relationships I had, like that's how I chose to like deal with it. And then when last year, when I was really like going through this funk, I realized that it's because like I've never really taken time to heal myself from things that I've experienced. Instead, I've always chosen to just bury them and be like, whatever, bro, like it is what it is. Like the old guy thing of just like tough it out, you know? Because like it's just the way it is. And then at the end of last year and beginning of this year, when like obviously our grandma like passed away and all these things came up, I saw so much family and I saw so much drama that I finally was like face to face with what I already knew. And it was that like there's a lot of trauma in our family that like I needed to face and heal my own things in order for because I know like, I remember we talked about this not on the show, but like at least like a handful of episodes ago, after the show stopped airing, me and Brandon sat down and we talked about how there's a lot of things that like affect us that happened to us when we were kids. And I don't blame our parents either, because it's like human. It's very human. Like they specifically said they didn't want to be like their parents, and they didn't. They did a very good job. But it's like you're all subconsciously, it affected the way they acted with us when they didn't even know.
Yeah.
And all we can do is just take up the responsibility of like, okay, we can control some certain things and certain things we can't. I'm sure there's things that like even you, if like or me, when I get into like a romantic relationship, that I'm gonna be like, that's gonna be so bad, and I'm gonna have to work on. But it comes from a place that like I grew up seeing when I was a child, you know. And it's our responsibility to make sure we check ourselves, like that we become a better person and that we heal. That's why with like my little nephew, I put so much importance into him, because I truly feel as though like every time we hang out, every time he sees me, every time we play together, or like I see a video with him, it's in some way, shape, or form impacting him a lot. And because I think that's true. I mean, I think back when I was a kid and I was hanging out with you, or hanging out with older brother, hanging out with my cousins, all that shit where I thought I was just having fun. You get older and you realize like that shit still affects you, and that's how you see a lot of things, you know?
Yeah. No, yeah. But no, I was just thinking of like going back to the whole of like being a first generation. I just kept thinking of like, damn, like at times when I had to grow up and be an adult sometimes when I was younger, because of things of like because like our parents didn't understand some things, right? And I remember recently it happened again when our abuelita was like where she had to go through hospice, and I had to take all the responsibility of the paperwork. And I remember just being like, bro, like just thinking of like, damn, like I have to be an adult here right now, and like and all that stuff. And I feel like it just reminded me of like how when I was younger I also had to do that a lot, of like I had to grow up faster than what I already was. And I'm just like, damn. And it's crazy because I just thought about it right now as you were talking. I was like, fuck, like I had to do it again because like my and puppy didn't understand anything that the nurse was saying. And I remember I had to translate for them. I had to like tell them everything. And I was like, fuck. I was like, damn, our family has gone through a lot, bro.
Yeah.
I'm just like, just in general, of just like us. And it's like, as much as we want to avoid like all those traumas and all those things, it just kind of, it still
It's
happens.
there.
It's just there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just there.
it's just there.
Because I think you know how our older brother recently moved out, right? And he obviously paid for the cable, and I just think how fucking crazy that is. Like just that alone, you know, like he was the first one to experience that of like he has to be basically another parent while he's still a kid.
Yeah.
Like he took care of us, he drove us around, like he did all these things. Obviously he got fucking pissed about it, and like he sometimes would take it out on us. And it's like I look back on it and I'm like, it was fucked up at points, but at the same time it's like if I was in that situation where I was the oldest and it's it's my first time being around and I have to take care of like my younger siblings as if they were my kids, I mean, I'd be angry too.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't blame I can't blame him for the way he acted. I mean, I talk about it all the time. You guys played a lot of jokes on me when I was a kid. And I totally understand it now as an older person. And like I said, when I was a teenager, I just thought like, oh yeah, they would fuck with me a lot when I was a kid, but it was funny. And then I got older and I was like, wait a minute. I think this still bothers me.
I said I was sorry.
I know, yeah. No, I'm telling you, this is my year of like healing, and I've been healing since like the end of like last year, and like it's weird because sometimes it feels very dark, and it's almost too much sometimes, but like I see it as a way of growing, and I see it as a way of healing, and I see it as like at the end of the day, I felt like my parents gave me so much love when I was a kid that it's enough to last me a lifetime. And the one thing that our mother always instilled in me, not sure if she said the same thing to you, but one of the most common stories that I always think of is my mom always said that she loved herself. So it didn't matter whether nobody else did because she loved herself. And like that's what I think about at the end of the day. At the end of the day, if anything ever happened to like our family, at the end of the day, if anything ever happened to me romantically, at the end of the day, if anything ever happened to me in like life, I know that I will be okay because I have myself and I can be confident and loving in myself. So I'll never be alone. I'll never be like afraid because I always have one person, and that's myself. And that's not me being like, fuck everybody, trust nobody. No. I mean, I still I love you and I love everybody else. Yeah. But I mean, like, most importantly, and I say this as like a word of advice to most people out there, is really get to know and love yourself and heal anything that's fucking you up inside and eating you up inside. Like, really stop and think, like, is there something inside of me that like has been causing me to be miserable? And I keep finding myself in these situations where I feel like I'm fucking up. Like, really, if that's you, look inside of yourself and see what it is. Because you could say like maybe it's a financial thing or something else, but really look deep inside, and you might be surprised what you find. Yeah, and it's gonna be scary. To me, it was very scary because I didn't want to like suddenly start blaming other people, or start saying like I'm this way because of this. You. No, I'm the way I am because of environment and circumstance. Yeah. But it's up to my responsibility to make sure I heal and become a better person. That's my responsibility. It's not my fault the things I went through, but it is on me to try and be better. Yeah. And on that note, should we end the episode?
I'll say yes.
Thanks to everyone who tuned in, and anyone who's listening on the app, anybody who's going to listen in the future, anybody who's listening in the past. Yeah, I don't know how you're doing that, but
shout out to those who comment. Patty with Fatty and Leonard the Lion said, appreciate y'all for sharing these stories, sending y'all mad love, sending y'all love back.
We'll see you guys next week for our 50th episode. Make sure you tune in. That one's gonna be fun. Brandon will be back for that one. Congrats to Brandon, by the way.
Yeah, shout out to Brandon.
We'll see you guys later.
Woo-hoo. And shout out to everyone who's graduating. Y'all did it.
See you guys.
Y'all doing it. We see y'all.